Potential spoilers for those who haven't played SMT5 Vengeance. Like me, I hope this doesn't backfire. Full video will be in the description below. It's by Faz or Faz. I never actually fact checked the pronunciation. Subscribe and let's rate the Nahobino's unique skills, starting with Aramasa. I'm curious if this is the game speed thing, because I think as a super or unique skill in this context, it's fine, but I also think if that was done faster, it'd be a lot better. Six? I'm confident with 6. It looks cool, it's done fast. A multi-hitting of an enemy in this context I think is pretty good. A lot of the ultimate attacks I've rated are based on flashiness at the very end, but I don't think it matters right now. I don't know why, but I don't think it matters right now. I'm confident with the 6. Starting off, 6 could be a lot worse. Right, there's the other form. I believe it'll be the same super, just in the different form, and I'm going to either not add to it, or the score will only change based on the design doing the ultimate attack rather than a new attack. I don't know. I'm not gonna waste your time. This is still Aramasa. Okay, yeah, it's still 6. Still 6. The way I'm going to continue this forward is that the regular Nahobino attacker is going to happen. I'm going to give my explanation. I'm going to rate it there. I'm going to let the new form play out. And unless I have anything concrete I'm going to add to it, then I'll probably keep the same rating, or I'll adjust the rating just based on the look of the character rather than everything else prior. I hope that makes sense. Up next is Miracle Water. That is the name of the skill. Now here's the thing. Aesthetically, sure, it's neat. The whole point of it is it's being a skill-based heal. But you can't deny we are just sitting there looking at the Nahobino and just go, I'm all better now. It's a 4, and it can't be helped. I'm sure fundamentally it gets the job done for whatever amount of health or I guess MP it'll increase, but it's not much to look at, and I don't want to keep wasting your time, so I'm gonna hit play. Other form. Still Miracle Water. Was that blue? I mean, was the water purple this time? I'm giving that a 5. Yes, this change of color, from what I can tell, is not much of a reason to actually change the rating, but you gotta understand, they didn't have to do that. So the devs, the atlases, deciding to change this ever so small detail to match the color palette of the new Nahobino form, which again, I have not played this game. I don't know the context of getting this form. I think they did something they didn't need to do, and I praise them for it. So I'm giving that a 5, despite it still being the same super. We then have Sakanagi. Five. Okay, I think it starting off with this strike right here was cool. I won't deny that, but it's just this. It's just this into one strike, and that's the whole attack. I'm sure it gets the job done in game. It's supposed to be one strong attack that's supposed to do damage based on whatever scaling it's going for. As a super, as a cinematic to watch, it happened, sure. If it was multiple strikes with the hand and then ending with this specific part, then it'd probably be higher, maybe a 6, maybe a 7, but it's just start with the claw, end with the one strike, and then that was it. So it sticks with the 5. Other form. Still a 5. Still a 5. Apparently this one's new, Inflaming Divinity. Okay, that's also a 5. However, I know what would have improved this one. I don't know if you've played SMT5 before, but the Nahobino, depending on the skill, will do some some oh man, what are they called? It's like a ninjutsu thing, but hand symbol. I'm blanking on the actual, it's not a pose. It's I'm blanking on the actual description of the word. Hand gesture? Maybe? Look, the Nahobino does a hand thing that looks cool before actually doing a sort of super to follow it up with. This could have been one of those hand symbols. Instead of it just being the fire in hand to crush, to squeeze, and then just have the magic circle summon in front of them and then get the stat buffs, I think having the hand symbol and then everything play out the same could have at least given it a 6 of sorts. So I'm giving this a 5 again. I believe I can assure you that the whole video won't just be 4, 5s, and 6s, because I wouldn't be doing this video if I knew that there weren't some cool, unique skills later down the line. But until we get there, you're gonna have to work with me. Unless I'm just being too picky and I'm wrong about my opinions anyway. Next up should be the other form of the Inflaming Divinity.
By fire. We rise.
It's still a 5, that nothing has changed. The next skill should be Ruinous Thunder. Now this should be the part where I start ranking it higher because I remember this skill being really cool.
Ruinous Thunder.
Okay, now here's why that gets a 7. This is all for me. You can easily just have your own rating below. This little thing right here reminds me of Kamen Rider Kabuto, where he just goes, you know, my grandmother always told me. And honestly, this one doesn't have to be as flashy or as fast as the other one, because in this context, man's summoning thunder from the clouds and he doesn't have to shift up his poses or be overly dramatic. This lets the skill do all the work and he can just remain in this state as the thunder gets summoned. You could also debate how many strikes the thunder should have done, but I guess mechanically it doesn't matter because the whole point is it doing damage in this context. But aesthetically, I think it doing the, what was it, 1? Was it only 1? Okay, it did show multiple strikes of the lightning, which I kind of wish it just totaled up to whatever damage it was going to do, but just did bits of splash. So let's say how much did this do? Instead of it being 685, it shows what, 225, 225, 225, something like that. I know it's not the right math, but you understand what I'm going for. But if you're also thinking fundamentally, or at least in terms of the game's skill or scaling, it would probably range the amount of damage it does, which could break the game. But I'm just staring at it as the super itself and not really thinking about, oh, if this was 3 attacks, it could probably be an overpowered skill. Which, to be fair, the Nahobino skills are meant to be better than your usual skills, which is why they're cinematic and crap. At least in my opinion. I could be completely mistaken. Still pretty good though. The next is the Ruinous Thunder with the other form. I have no idea what the other form is called. It's gonna be a 7. I'm not gonna do the decibel things unless I really think it's teetering towards an 8 or a 7. However, the thing that I enjoy that makes this one different from the other Nahobino is that, wait, this was the same? Was I just not paying attention? Oh, this is the same. I guess I didn't pay attention to that the first time. The little sigils around him, these little sigils here, I just wasn't paying attention. I didn't know they were there. I thought this was a this form only sort of thing, and I was about to go, okay, another slight change that they didn't have to do, so I respect it. I would have given it the same score, which I still am. It's still a 7. I just thought, oh, they decided to make a small correction. And I went, you know what? That, you know, I appreciate that, sure. I think this is still cool. I get why it's still the same super animation, because they don't have to just make a different whole animation for the new suit. I'm not complaining about it being the same animation with a different suit. I'm just curious as to when I think this being different will have an effect on the scoring itself. But until we get there, most of the time, their scores will likely be the same. But I will go into detail about my opinion as to why it's different than before. Until then, the next skill is the Kannabi Veil. It's a 3. The skill itself, I'm sure, is effective in what it needs to be. As a super, as a cinematic, the way I've been rating them all before, all it did was just do a barrier with the same camera angle. So that gets a 3. More or less the same camera angle. So it gets a 3. a understandable 3. The next form. Am I just not paying attention? Did this same symbol show up for... Yeah, they did. I don't know how I keep missing it for the first Nahobino, but I catch it with the second form. Yeah, still a 3. This is honestly a whatever one, and that's completely fine. It's funny how quick I went through this one, because it's not really much to say. But the next one is Divine Arrowfall. Maybe I'll have more to say for it. I'm giving that a 7, and here's why. I was tempted to give it a 6, but it showing the Nahobino getting in their state to just explode, and then explode all onto the enemies here with multiple rays of light. I think that's good. I think my nitpick of this would be that the rays of light being multi-hits as opposed to one singular hit. But again, from the previous ultimate or skill that I was talking about, it could actually change how effective the skill is, because now it's just a really overpowered skill. But aesthetically, I think it's still fine. I'm just bringing up the skill part to explain, oh, that's probably why they didn't do it like that, so that it wouldn't be overpowered. I still think aesthetically though it looks cool, and the time it takes to get from the Nahobino in this state to charge up and then into this state to let loose, it didn't take that long. The fact that it wasn't wasting my time to get here, I think also helps it. That's probably why I'm getting it a 7, or maybe I'm just coping because I wanted some really good ones, which I know are here. Ruinous Thunder I remember being really good. I haven't touched this game in so long, so going back into this after a long period of time, I think it's just really interesting. But now we have the other form for Divine Arrowfall. I'm making a correction. The regular version of Nahobino's Divine Arrowfall, changing that from a 7 to a 6. I'm making this version of it with this form a 7, and that's only because I think this looks cooler. Here's the thing. I think the way that this aesthetic works with this super makes it more like this is just some uncontrollable, I don't know how to properly use this form. I just think aesthetically this looks cooler and matches the super better than the previous one. The super itself, it's still fine, but this form just makes it look cooler. I'm really curious as to what leads to this form though. The next skill is Wrath Tempest. Eight. I told y'all this. Okay. I know it's been a while since I've touched this game, but I knew that reacting to, or at least rating these skills would be worth it, because I remember them being really good, or at least some of them. So this being an 8 makes sense. I will explain my reasoning. We start with this pose as he starts Ragnaroking all over the slimes. Ragnarok is the super in fighting games where it's just one person constantly slashing enemies multiple times and then into one final attack. That's basically what this is. However, the adding of the tornado is cool because contextually it can just keep everyone in one spot, so that the follow-up with this final strike makes it really good. And the pose thing, this is what I was talking about, because I'm sitting there going, I know the Nahobino does this sort of thing. How could I even recreate that? It's right hand. Yeah, look at me, I'm a fan. I was waiting for this. I forgot what skill had the Nahobino do stuff like this. This was just a really well-paced super where you can feel the impact from the strike. I don't think it was that long in my opinion, and it was just really cool. It also did the thing I was talking about before, which was the multiple hits. Hold up, let me get to that frame. Thank you, YouTube, for the fast forward button, or at least the fast forward input. Yeah, these multi-hits. Hold up. These multi-hits, I really think helped impact what the super was doing, because if you were doing multiple strikes from an enemy into a final strike and it only showed one thing, I don't think I'd like that. Even if it was doing minimal damage, it's the feeling of going, yo, that was sick, and it was doing so much damage at a time. It would be like seeing Hasao Tobi's effect from Yoshitsune, just doing the doop with the sword and then just multiple strikes of da 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 about 8 times or something like that. This is a good one. I have no idea if there are any other 8s throughout this whole video, but I guess we'll see. The next one should now be the other form, whose name I still don't know. Still an 8. Now that I'm looking at it again with this form, if I were to have a complaint, a genuine complaint, maybe a nitpick, maybe more so a nitpick than a complaint, maybe the hits should have been faster. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if this is an issue with game speed as opposed to the actual super itself, but if the game speed was maybe a little bit faster, or if the attack itself was faster, it would probably be a 9. Because I'm just thinking fast slashes should result in faster movements, and I don't think the movement in here is as fast as I think it could be. But again, I could be nitpicking. My score hasn't changed. I'm just providing more thought. I don't remember this one. Profaned Land? Profaned and Profaned accessories?
Corruption.
6. Now, I think I know how I would have improved this. So we have this right here. I think this is a cool pose. I think the blood, which I assume is the Nahobino just going for the whole grasp heart sort of deal, crushes it. And then, oh, look at all that. Big rain fall from above. Yeah, big rain fall from above here. I think if they're going for the whole grasp heart sort of deal, where they take your heart and crush it, this part actually should have just been the demon exploding from the inside, because that's what's happening. And I think the blood from above looked fine, but I think it would look way better if it was straight up grasp heart, cuts to you, explosion of the chest, and then body explode, or at least body fall over and they just start to disintegrate. Something like that I think would make it look a lot cooler. But regardless of that, a 6 is not that bad. I think I might like this attack better with the other form, but we'll watch it and see.
Corruption.
I will make this a 7, which is interesting because they are the same super, but again, aesthetically, I think this makes it look cooler because I think it matches what the situation is happening. Don't get it twisted. I think both of their suits look cool. I'm just saying in the context of this super, this makes it look a lot cooler than the previous Nahobino. So this only gets a 7 based on the Nahobino's new aesthetic as opposed to the actual super being better, because it's still the same super. This one's also new apparently, the Evergreen Dance.
Dance eternal.
Add it to the board, it's another 6. Ha ha! You thought. Or you probably didn't. Okay, my thing with this is this. I think the movement of this is good. I have no issues with the camera angle. I have no issues with the pacing. I think more petals should have fallen. I think there should have been like a... What's that man's name from Bleach? Byakuya Ichiki? I don't remember. I haven't watched Bleach since the aughts. Whatever the Sakura Blossom guy dude is. I don't think it should have filled the screen with it, probably because of Switch limitations, because this is also on Switch as opposed to a bunch of other platforms. However, I do think having more of these petals from the leaves falling off would have made this more aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. Other than that, it's fine. Yeah, I don't really have much issues with it. It's just alright. And aside from the whole leaves thing that I would have preferred to have more of, I don't actually see this getting higher than a 7 on a good day. But it's not a 7, it's a 6. I'm probably just nitpicking, but still, my opinions, right? Alright, let's get to the other form.
Evergreen leaves. Moonlight victory. And dance eternal.
Opinion hasn't changed. Still 6. Let's move on. Another apparent new one, Moonlight Frost.
Your fate's already sealed.
The first number I thought of was an 8, but I'm going to explain to you my thought process and see if I commit to that. Here's the thing. This, I think, was a frame that we were on for quite a while, and I think the only way to excuse us being on this moon would be a charge up sequence of sorts. New da half da full, and then we cut to the summoning of the other type of Ragnarok like this. And this was fast too. I think I have my score set. I am committed to the 8. I am committed to the 8. The build up slightly slow, which they could have gotten away with had they done the phases of the moon for this. Because again, having this from new into half into full and then into the Ragnarok, I think would have made this a 9 easily. Debatably a 10. However, it still gets an 8. Fast pacing, really cool executed super. This is the type of speed I wish that other one, what was it, Wrath Tempest had? Because then it would have definitely gotten higher. It probably would have been a 9. Still pretty good. The other form's version of Moonlight Frost.
Your fate's already sealed.
Still an 8. I find it funny right now because this could technically be a crescent moon, which means that if they decided to make their weapon the beginning part of this moon right here, instead of the hand forward pose, they do this pose with the weapon sticking out as the beginning of that crescent moon, and then the phase goes to the half into the full. Then all of a sudden, I'm the reason why the full moon or the moonlight occurs. Then we run through the moonlight, and then we do the Ragnarok thing that hits the enemy multiple times into the whip, which ends up being the new super. This is not me going, oh, they should have done that to make it better. I'm saying if they did do that, in my opinion, it would be better. This is a rating opinion. At the end of the day, it's not that serious. I do think this is still really cool though, so it remains at an 8. I don't remember this one. Thalassic Calamity, and it's apparently not new, so it's something from the vanilla game.
Ocean, heed my call.
I give that an 8 as well. It's simple because of the context of this the wave summoning. It doesn't have to be super flashy. If the Nahobino did another hand pose, I probably would have given a 9 easily. The beginning part here reminds me of Storm a lot. Storm's Marvel 3 super, where her animation takes a second to just brush back to the screen as she summons the hurricane and then to the icicle attacks or something. That's what that reminded me of, which is why I think that this pose being simple to summon the wave and then the wave just starts crashing here with the multiple attacks, all good. All solid, well paced. I wouldn't say I felt the impact for this one like I would for other games that I've rated rather, but I still think this is very well executed. And it being multiple attacks, I think also helps. Hold up, is it 4 enemies with 1 singular attack? Let's see. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Okay, each enemy took about 2 hits. I can live with that. It's still a multi-hit, because come on, if you're being hit with a giant wave of water, it would not be 1 singular attack. It would be but I can accept it too. Still an 8. Still an 8. Come on. Other form, which I don't think will make a difference unless I like the suit with the super that much.
Ocean, heed my call.
I actually do like the suit with the super pretty much. It's very close to a 9. This might be the only 8.5 I at. Completely off topic and might not even be relevant. However, I think there should have been a phase where the Nahobino gets an outfit that actually covers their face, like a tokusatsu sort of helmet. I think that would be cool. Here's the thing, man. Look, this right here, this looks so cool. I really think the suit helps it here. I think I'm giving it a 9. Ah, man. I am glad I decided to keep the suit variant rolling, because even though the super or the skill itself doesn't change, the suit just adds something to it. Or sometimes it doesn't, but in this case, it completely does. I think I'm giving Thalassic Calamity a 9 with the new Nahobino suit, or form, or variant, or whatever this is. God, it looks cool. I don't even know if having this suit makes an actual difference to combat. It'd be funny if it didn't. Good job. New suit equal bigger number. Good job. What's next? Revival chant? Sure. Okay, it is, what's it called? Raycarm. Hold up, does SMT and the Persona title share the same terminology for attacks and stuff? I don't know why I'm asking that. Sounds like a stupid question, but I'm pretty sure Raycarm is still the healing spell, like how Samurai Raycarm is in both titles. If I'm somehow mistaken of that, I'm not a real fan. That's a 5, is what I'm trying to get at, because it's just a chant with the fingers moving. If the whole point is just to get the chant across into summoning something, it doesn't have to be super flashy. How, okay, let's talk about this. How would I think to make this better? Maybe if instead of the finger with the movement just in one singular direction, maybe it did a symbol that represents resurrection. I think I'd just be grasping at straws here. I don't really see much I would do to make this a higher score, but I could just be lacking creativity to make this look better, in my opinion. So it'll get the 5. It's not that serious. We'll move on to the other forms version of this.
Your turn. Go.
There's something about that suit, man. Why does it look so cool? Why does it make this pose look super cool? Like a ninja, like a shinobi of sorts. Dang it. This is very interesting. How much the aesthetic of the character itself doing the super changes my perception of the super. At least a little bit. Long story short, I think this is a 6 for this variant. What's funny is I keep track of the number itself here, but it's not like I'm gonna actually tally them and go, oh, it was these that were really good and these that were really bad. I'm just giving you the number for the viewer's sake, and so that I remember what I said as I'm editing it. But this is a 6, and it's literally because of that suit. It's a really good thing that I kept the suit variants. What's next? Murakumo. All right. Another hand pose. Big build up for big swing. It gets a 7. Now, here's what I think would have made this cool. This looks like Gurren Lagann. I'll pierce drill into heaven. That should have been more of a pierce than it should have been a giant guillotine type swing. I think if it was a pierce, that would be cooler in a sense. But at the same time, come on. The pose with the build up. You gotta admit, it was well paced. Does that make this an 8 though? Am I just trying to find excuses to give it a lower rating? Nah, but I feel more comfortable with the 7. I'm committed to 7. I think the pierce would have totally done it because it looks like a piercing attack more so than a slashing drop attack. And unlike previous times, it being the one singular hit, I think makes sense. Even if it was a drill attack, it being the one singular hit would have made sense because it would just go clean through. Yeah, I'm committed to 7. Maybe the other form will give it its 8, but we'll have to see. Still a 7. Unfortunate, the suit did not change the tide, unlike previous cases. Still good. Don't get it twisted. It's still very good. It's still very cool. Just not an 8, unfortunately. Another new one, apparently. Lunation Flux. 2? What? 2? It was a nothing. It was a nothing. Now, if this is the team just going, do whatever, I get it. I completely understand the mindset behind this. I'm pretty sure it took them a while just to get this version of the game out. They're not going to stress over making a cinematic super skill of sorts. However, given the context of this video and I've been rating stuff, I can't lie. It's a shame though, because the Nahobino isn't really using the hand poses in every single skill attack. So it being done here and being it kind of leading to nothing is unfortunate for me. Me specifically, me exclusively. But the fact of the matter is, it's not a good super. I don't think the other form is actually going to help it. It did not help it. Get to 2. We're moving on. Another new one, apparently. Lunar Hurricane. Took a while to get here though. I gotta really think about this one because it was a lot of gaps. It was a lot of build up. However, I gotta think if the actual execution was worth the build up. I'm going to say no. And it's not because the suit didn't match what the actual skill was. I think my issue here is the slime was in this state for a while. It was in this hurricane for a while. And then we cut to the Nahobino getting the sword ready for the slash. The slash did do a multi-hit, which I liked, but it still took a while to get here. I think a 7 is the only thing I'm content with. I I think if they cut the fluff, put him in the Hurricane for about a good second or two, and then when he, hold up, when he actually summons this here, this, he should have already done that. See how it took him a good second or two before he actually does the slash? If he had just cut the fluff, went from the summoning of the sword into the slash, and then into the multi-hit from the Hurricane, that would have been an easy 8. This is an unfortunate super that had fluff in between it that ruined the pacing for it, in my opinion. Because if that pacing was consistent, it would have been an easy 8. I don't know if it would have been a 9, but it would have been an easy 8. And I'm sure I'll have the same opinion, even though the Nahobino is going to be in their proper attire to match the skill. But we'll see. I'm sure it's going to be the same. The weirdest thing, I kind of don't like this super with the skill. It's so weird. It just doesn't look natural. And I understand that this whole thing's skill is that it's making the weapon with the fingers and crap, but I don't like this as much as the regular Nahobino's version of it. I think it better suits it. At the end of the day, it's still an 8. It still could be rated a lot worse. It is what it is. Unfortunate. Did I say 8? I think I said 7, right? Whatever I said previously should still be it. If I said 7, I meant 7. If I said 8, I don't think I'll stress it if I randomly change it to an 8, but it should be a 7. Another apparent new one. Heavenly Ikuyumi.
My aim is true.
Thousand arrows. You had it. You had it. All you had to do was just summon 1,000 arrows, or at least 1,000 looking arrows. Now, here's the thing. If this is another limitation thing so that it doesn't break the device like the Switch because it wouldn't be able to handle too much at once, I get it. I get it. I wish it was a lot more, because think about it. You did this whole build-up. The 1, 2, 3 with the string. Also that you can shoot this arrow into the sky. And all you got to show for it are 4 arrows? Do you see my issue with this? What'd I say? I don't think I gave it a number yet. I'm giving it a 6 because it overhyped itself. Which is so weird to say because I don't think any super has overhyped itself in this game, but come on, you gave me all this build up, you gave me all this anticipation to look forward to what's gonna happen, then it was 4 arrows. Here's the thing. If this straight up was these 4 arrows, but this part right here prior was the 1,000 arrows descending, then I could easily just chalk it up to, oh, okay, 1,000 arrows started off, 4 arrows hit their target guaranteed, the others just landed somewhere else. Oh well, I don't know if the other form is gonna make a difference.
My aim is true.
Didn't make a difference. Very unfortunate. It's a 6. Oh well, I'm sure it did big damage like it needed to. As a super though, or as the way I've been rating it up until this point, or at least the way I've been rating this game up till this point, I'm not gonna throw softballs. However, that 1,000 arrow thing up until this probably would have given it a 7. I'm almost sure of that. I think this is the last thing, and it's another apparent new one. Luminescent Mirage and Paraselene Blur. I wonder if this is a path selective ability. I guess we'll see. That's it? Is this another one of those? Yeah, this is another one of those still camera ones that didn't have an actual cinematic part to it. It gets another 2. I assume the next form's gonna get a 2 too. And then possibly the Paraselene Blur is what's gonna get us the final cinematic one, but I guess we'll see. Oh, we're going to the Paraselene. Okay, sure.
Like a moonbeam, pale and fleeting.
It's kind of like an underwhelming Ragnarok. It started off cool. You know what? I think this would have been the few times where the Nahobino should have just disregarded what their usual weapons are, whether it be the finger hand sword, or the dual finger blades, the dual wielding thing. This should have been straight hands. Just straight up walk towards them and go ba ba ba, final hit, ba, then they explode. That's what this should have been. Cause you're having them walk up into a karate-like stance. Bro's walking up. That should have been punches. Those should have been hands. Dude, that last one could have been a Superman punch. This should have been hands. It gets a 7. Don't get it twisted. It gets a 7. I think this was pretty cool. It's not better than the other Ragnarok type attacks we've seen up to this point, and I'm positive the other suit won't actually improve upon this current score, but I guess we're gonna have to see. Alright, so this is just a barrier that makes the evasion go up. Sure.
Like a moonbeam, pale and fleeting.
Now what's funny is I do think that this suit better matches this super, but it's not going to change the score. It's just going to keep it in the same way. So it's still at an 8 in my opinion. I think that's it, right? All right, that is all. Once again, this video will be in the description below so that you can just watch it in under 10 minutes as opposed to just whatever amount of time that this took for me to rate it. I still hope you enjoyed and liked the whole rating of the supers thing. If you're looking for another one, I did one with Final Fantasy Dissidia, because that game needs to be talked about more. I hope you enjoyed. Be safe. Have fun. I'll be seeing ya. I gotta also play SMT5 Vengeance.